seeing a massive loss of black women in the labor force, 38,000 in April, more than 100,000 in the last couple of months. There are a variety of reasons being cited. Let's go right to Morgan Harper, of course. She's an economist. She's also the director of policy and advocacy at the American Economic Liberties Project in Columbus, Ohio. Glad to have you on the show, Morgan. So what the hell is going on?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, this isn't really surprising, Roland, because as we've been talking about the last couple of months, we know that Doge has resulted, even if Doge was a fake project in a lot of ways, it has resulted in real job losses, not in the name of efficiency, just in the name of ruining people's lives, it seems like. And who are a lot of federal employees? We have a lot of black women that are part of the federal labor force. And so that's going to hit us directly. The other thing, and another theme we've talked about, is the ripple effects of some of these federal policies and the changes in things like DEI. They don't just stay in the federal government. So add on to top of the federal job losses, we have a lot of private sector companies that are saying, oh, we don't have to care about DEI anymore either. And we can cut back on some of the money that we were spending. The full-time employees that we had working in that area also tends to have a lot of black women that were working in that field. So, it's a compounding effect for sure. I don't know that we have a ton of immediate solutions here, but for sure we need to be sounding the alarm on the nature of the problem.
See, now I'm confused because a bunch of these simple Simons who said that I was shilling for the Democrats said that I was making too much out of this, that, Roland Martin is trying to scare us, saying Trump, they're going to start getting rid of black people in the federal government. Seems like I was right.
Yeah, who was going after you for that?
Idiots. Idiots. I'm sitting here going, what the hell are y'all talking about? I'm like, the data's the data. If 1 in 5 federal workers are African Americans, you're going to see the cutbacks. When you talk about also what positions they're in, you're going to see folks getting laid off. There's a notion that's like all the veterans out there who voted for Trump being stupid thought they were not going to be impacted by Doge. Thousands upon thousands are being cut from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Yeah, it was going to impact black people.
Yeah, and we're not done yet. I mean, where I used to work, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that's a whole set of federal employees that's still waiting for the court process to unfold to know whether or not their jobs are done. And then we have to add on top of that government contractors. And a lot of people that, even if they're not official federal employees now, there's been a lot of cutting of the federal contracts that were employing a lot of us as well. And so, we're just going to continue to see some of these ripple effects, like I said, and it's going to start to impact not just the bottom line of the individuals that are being laid off, let go, offered these severance packages, whatever, but it's going to start to impact the overall economy because we know we have a lot of purchasing power. We know that there are a lot of households that are being led by black women as the single breadwinner in a lot of cases. And that's going to start to impact children, impact at the community level. So this should be considered, a real emergency. And like we've experienced in a lot of other economic times, the first wave might hit the black community, but it's a sign of what's to come for the general population as well.
Yeah, the Washington Post, here's a perfect example of what we're talking about. The Amistad Research Center, one of the largest repositories of black history, cut its staff in half because they lost 4 federal grants. That's a perfect example. So they're not federal workers, but when you start cutting billions in dollars in grants that have gone out to various groups, that's what you see. The Brennan Center posted something, I'm looking for it right now, where the Brennan Center posted the number of jobs, the number of programs that were targeted to end violence, and on public safety, they cut those grants as well. So now if you work for those nonprofits or those groups, you also are now out of a job.
Yeah, and add on to that, the the state impacts. So the state budgets, I mean, local government, that is another big recipient of federal funds. The bill that passed, the reconciliation, the funding bill, is limiting the amount of money going to some of the state budgets. City governments also. I think there is like back and forth about whether public schools are going to be getting all their funding. They've kind of like they've relented on that a little bit, but no, it's every sector of the economy is now starting to feel some of the impacts of the administration's war on the state, really. And even people, and I think it's right, Roland. I mean, it's easy for people to think like, oh, well, I'm safe. I work in the private sector, whatever. No, this is going to eventually come to hit all of us, and why we need to be paying attention to it.
Yeah, again, for the people who were like, oh, y'all are just making a big deal out of this, it's kind of like, okay, watch what happens.
Yeah, and now the question is, what do we do? And I think this should be, added to the list of, okay, it's been pretty clear that the folks who are in charge right now, which is the Republican Party, don't really have an interest in working class concerns and particularly the Black community. And so where are we going with the observations and experiences that we are having, these job losses, the impacts on the economy? If we're going the Democratic Party, this is the kind of thing that we need Democrats to be talking about and highlighting some of these impacts all the time. And as they continue to expand into different parts of the country. So I think that's another misconception, is that, government workers, oh, that's just a DC thing. They've got it made in DC. Why do we care about them anyway? It's like, no, there's a lot of government workers all across the country. And to your point, Roland, as it starts to impact even nonprofits and as I was mentioning, some of the local and state funding, that's going to be everyone. There are no carve-outs when the goal is destruction.
Indeed. I want to bring my panel right now. Joining us, Dr. Ome Congo, to being a senior professor of lecture school international service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism. Dr. Larry J. Walker, associate professor, University of Central Florida. Joy Cheney, founder, Joy Strategies out of D.C. Glad to have all three of you here. Over and over and over again, Larry, you worked on the Hill, and we kept trying to explain to people that when you talk about trickle down, when you talk about ripple, I call it a tsunami. And this is the thing that people don't understand. African Americans, we over-index in government jobs because of the history of Jim Crow freezing us out of corporate America. When you look at high five-figure and high six-figure jobs, the reality is, if you are an African American, more than likely, if you are in a six-figure job, it's going to be a government job. And I need people to watching to understand, when we say government job, we're talking about school district, the city, the county, the state, the federal government. We're talking about teachers, police officers, firefighters, all types of workers. So that's the first wave. And as we've been talking about, that second wave are the companies that get federal or state or local contracts or grants. You see massive cuts, that means a serious case of pneumonia for Black America.
You highlight some really important points, Roland, and as it relates to what we just heard and the study, essentially when it comes to the U.S. economy, Black folks are the canary in the coal mine when it comes to these government cuts and what is coming, right? So it's a trickle. Eventually, it's going to become a tidal wave for the rest of America, right? As we get impacted immediately by this, because we're the bottom of of all these indicators because of systemic racism. But you're right. People are all this rhetoric about federal employees. They use federal employees as code for Black folks, because you're right. I don't know how many people I lived in the DMV for a number of years, and I don't know how many Black people I knew that worked in the federal government and did quite well for themselves. The challenge for this, as you just heard, the expert just talk about, is the impact this is going to have on the U.S. economy. Black women likely leave households, as she mentioned. We have mortgages, rent, people paying for groceries. It will impact every aspect of the economy. then in the next 6 months, year and a half, when it starts impacting groups that don't look like us, then there'll be a concern and worry. But it's really too late. These cuts are devastating. And I worked on the Hill. Joy worked on the Hill, and I've never in my lifetime seen this essentially taking a scalpel and just ripping up the federal government. And the long-term impact on the U.S. economy, people cannot understand how this will weigh on the economy. And then the challenges, like I said, foreclosures and all the other issues going to impact the Black working and middle class is going to be devastating for this country.
And the thing, and again, we go over this, and Joy, I don't understand how any of these idiots could think that this was not going to impact Black America. And what have I consistently said? The goal of Trump and his team is to defund Black America.
That's correct. He wants to cut off avenues to advancement for Black people, for Latinos. He'll be the Asian Americans in a minute, and frankly, poor whites. He has, and he started with us. We know that we are always the canary in the coal mine, as has been already referenced. This is going to exacerbate what is just already a pay equity issue that's happening with Black women in particular, but across Black America. And it will have long-range impacts. More than 30% of the employees that were let go in that first wave were Black people and other people of color. We know that he's going to get to everyone else later because there's severe shrinking of the federal government. It's going to happen all over. It started where it's most easy, but your panelists have already said this. I won't repeat it, but we are concentrated in jobs that were targeted by these diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. This is why on Black Women's Equal Pay Day, which was about 2 weeks ago, Black women's groups, women's groups, we're focusing in on the attacks of the Trump administration on Black women as exacerbating the pay equity problem for us. We are disproportionately educated, but we still lag behind both white women and Black men, and certainly white men. And part of it is the jobs that we are concentrated in. And one of those in this case is federal jobs. So while Black Women's Equal Pay Day was mid-year this year, we can anticipate that next year it may be closer to the fall because this is going to expand inequity for Black women.
Omekongo?
I think we need to be mindful of the fact that in addition to everything that's been said, we have to just underline the fact that this is targeted retribution on Black women. I believe that so many people were outraged when the stat came out that Black women are the highest educated group in America. And I think that plus the Black women at the top of the ticket, just there's so much resentment that has been breeded against Black women that has already been here for centuries, obviously, but it's been increased. And we have to be mindful of that for sure. One of my biggest concerns is what people are doing to get resources outside of this, because what the government is also doing is cutting access to welfare access, food supplies, where people can go and actually get food from various places, food banks, is what I meant to say. They're cutting those off. So much of the access is also being torn. So what are people supposed to do there? So they're getting you coming and going. And I believe that if we can continue to raise awareness like you've been doing on the show the whole time, you said it, Roland, defund Black America, defund Black America. You talked about it in so many different areas. But now that hopefully the signal is as large as possible, I believe that there's still time for us to come together and try to organize in ways, but it's not going to happen if we don't organize politically, if we don't fight back legally, and if we don't stay involved politically as it relates to these elections and getting people in here who can help change some of the other policies that can help us get some of this footing. Because living in the DMV, as you know, Roland, my wife and I operate these yoga studios. We have so many people from the community who come in telling stories. They lost this, they lost that, foreclosure this, can't send their kid back to school that. So many different issues, and it's only going to get worse as the school year starts. Some aren't going back to college, and we have to continue to sound the alarm like you've been doing every week.
And Morgan, what we have to recognize, this is literally something that black people have got to recognize. This is the next 3.5 years. First of all, even if, let's just say, Democrats take control of the House, the reality is Republicans are likely to still control the Senate. Trump is still sitting in the Oval Office. The votes are not there to override vetoes. And so you're talking about this is going to continue until the next election.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Roland. And the other thing to keep in mind is once you eliminate a job in the federal government, it's not that easy to just turn that back on. So, I think this is a warning. You're right. We have 3.5 more years regardless for a real shift in the power dynamics of the executive branch of government, hopefully, right? But either way, I do hope that happens, and the Democrats will keep in mind that they shouldn't just go with the rules and how they've been always done and all of this bureaucracy. It's like there's probably going to be a need for immediate relief and immediate response and not getting lost in all of the details. The other point that I wanted to make was, in that 3.5 years, just the scale of damage that can be done, we need to be real about the generational wealth impacts that could come from this. Yep. Because what also happens with federal jobs, those are jobs with benefits. I will speak for myself. My federal job was the first time after paying back student loans that I started to do a real meaningful contribution to a 401k. Why? Because there was a match coming from the federal government to incentivize doing that. That's when people are guaranteed to have time off if women are having a baby or for parental leave generally, regardless of, dad, mom, whatever. So we need to be careful about, even if we are being told stories about jobs that are coming to replace the jobs that are lost from the federal government, what kind of jobs, the quality of job. And I think it's fair to say that it's highly unlikely in the current economic environment that the jobs that are going to be created that are available to the broadest set of the public, and particularly the middle class, are going to be guaranteeing the same level of benefits that have been enjoyed through a lot of federal jobs that we've been occupying over the last several decades that have been halfway to the middle class.
So you lose jobs, you lose benefits. They're trying to cut Medicaid expansion, trying to cut the Affordable Care Act. And so they literally are trying to cut, and destroy the social safety net.
Yes. And if we know that $400 right now can be the difference for a lot of people between making it through the month or not, then imagine adding on top of that, you no longer have someone that's helping cover your healthcare premium. You no longer have an emergency fund that you have saved if you do have some unexpected medical expense or other life expense that comes up. And so just the possibilities for financial damage that really then leads to the damage of families and households is not even quantifiable right now. And that's very, very sad and scary.
Indeed. Morgan, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.